welcome everyone. For the very first time, I have my boy Grin. I have my boy Strata. The Avengers have assembled. And we are here
for
on
a
our
very
knees.
special occasion.
That's right. We are here on our knees because our GOAT, our main man Togashi, Yoshihiro Togashi, has now achieved the age of 60. And we are here to celebrate the legacy of our GOAT. Now I have a question for you guys. If you guys have been following the Jump News thing that's going to happen on the 27th of tomorrow or later today, do you guys think Hunter x Hunter will be announced on on whatever this Jump announcement will be?
No.
I don't think so.
No, you don't think so? Even though it's also Togashi's birthday?
Yeah.
Right.
See, the smart Hunter x Hunter fans, we understand that you don't get your hopes up. You get pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. In likelihood, what will probably happen is if we ever get an announcement, you'll probably get an update on Shonen Jump, most likely.
Yeah.
And
through the magazine.
That's about the most you'll get.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
I mean, all we know is that this is actually by Shonen Jump. Like, I don't think this is particularly the anime. But we'll see. I'm not holding out for it because you know how it is being a Hunter fan. I've been burned too many times. Been disappointed too many times. And I'm not going to allow that to happen again. So, I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
The GOAT has now achieved 60 years old. Of course, he is the greatest writer of all time, one of the greatest, on an unimaginable legacy. YuYu Hakusho, Level E, Hunter x Hunter. Hunter itself is already a massive legacy. Been going on since '98, ongoing strong for 25 years, for 25 plus years, in fact. Then there's YuYu Hakusho, and of course there's the more underrated GOAT Level E. Now. Strata, Grin. Now I have the question for you guys. And Grin, you can answer this first.
Yeah.
From what I've known about you, before Hunter x Hunter, you always had more experience with YuYu Hakusho.
Yeah.
The question is for you. How did you get into YuYu Hakusho? What did you know about it beforehand?
Okay.
Yeah.
If I'm being totally honest, I watched Okay, so back in the day, where I lived, I didn't really have access to anime that was so I had to watch anime on on one of the channels that used to come on television, and I watched YuYu Hakusho there alongside things like Flame of Reika and I think Idaten Jump and a few other things.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I got into YuYu Hakusho. And I watched until the end of the Dark Tournament, and then years later, I ended up going back and rewatching, and then reading all the stuff that I actually ended up missing out. And on a second reread, on a reread, essentially, I found out that the manga did a whole lot more justice to Sensui, who for the longest time, alongside Lelouch, was in my top 5 characters of all time. And Sensui is a really, really compelling character to me because his whole idea or concept is the exact opposite of our main character, and as a result, it kind of represents the fail in success, I guess. like Yusuke basically has, how to say, he was a spirit detective. He's not really somebody who, you know, on an initial impression, he wasn't really somebody who's like nice or great. He's kind of like a brat and kind of very aggressive. But through learning, through being a spirit detective, he learns responsibility and stuff. And so Sensui, very also a spirit detective, but unlike Yusuke, crumbled, I guess, under the pressure.
Yeah, had a strong sense of black and white and justice.
Yeah, and justice. And that sense of justice, though it made him one of the best spirit detectives out there, it also was his fallen grace. That it was also the thing that basically limited him, and as a result, turned his moral compass on its flip side, and that made for a very compelling villain for me, because you have someone who basically didn't have a sense of morality, who then grew that sense of morality through responsibility, compared to someone who did have that sense of morality and then succumbed to the pressure and decided that the way things are isn't good enough and proceeded to take justice in his own hands. And I think that's that dichotomy of both of them is a very, very interesting concept to explore, which I think Togashi like fully explored.
His Sensui 7 dynamic, then the fact that he has a DID and has all these like different facets to his character, and the fact that he was indoctrinated by spirit world as a child. They literally like Koenma was literally looking over him, like teaching him, showing him the ropes in order to basically turn him into a killing machine for the spirit world. And then of course the anime omits this, but the manga shows you that Koenma's father, King Yama, was brainwashing demons and basically causing them to cause mischief in order to falsify, in order to create the demon barrier. So they were essentially having prejudice face, which only adds more layers to Sensui and him eventually rebelling in Spirit World and then stealing Chapter Black, and then him signing with the demons. But yeah, how did you learn about Hunter x Hunter? Because before I ever put you on it, you knew about the 2011, and you watched a bit of it. Well, by bit of it, I mean you watched clips.
Yeah, I watched a bunch of clips, and I did watch the 2011 anime for a good bit on my own, but I never fully picked it up. I saw like a couple episodes here and there, and thought like it was fascinating or the characters were intriguing, but I just had too many things I was watching at the time that for whatever reason I just never picked it back up.
How did you learn about it?
What's up?
How did you learn about? Okay. How did you learn about YuYu Hakusho, and then how did you also learn about Hunter x Hunter? Was it like a thing to where, because usually for most people, where this is made by the same guy who made YuYu Hakusho, I want to check this out. That's usually how the thought process that lends to it.
I think the thing is, at the time I got into Hunter and watched a couple episodes, but I don't think I delved into it as much until I actually started reading it, and I didn't really go ahead and check to see whether Hunter was made by Togashi or not. It was kind of something that I saw a few episodes of when I could on television, but I didn't really go out of my way to watch because I had too many other things that I wanted to watch at the time. So after we started reading, I was like, "Oh shit, you know what? Yeah, this is awesome." And the thing is, after we sat down to read, I went back and I saw like so many references that Hunter has that are direct callbacks to character moments or character progressions in Yu Yu Hakusho itself. Like Killua is very, very similar to
Hiei.
Yeah.
Kurama,
and
Kurapika.
Kurama and Kurapika are very similar.
Ryoyo Kuwabara.
Yeah.
Sensui Crollo, Medium, a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
I will say that reading it, I initially thought that the Hunter exam would be very similar to the Dark Tournament, but no, it was very, very, very different.
Yeah. It's mostly similar to the Genkai tournament. Where it's like they're literally running through the woods.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that you get like a little bit of a tournament.
Yep. But Hunter was a very different experience from YuYu Hakusho, because YuYu Hakusho it almost picked up the story immediately and kind of put you into into the plot of what's going on back to back. Hunter took a lot more time for me to develop. I don't think I actually Hunter didn't click for me until we got to York New, yeah. At which point Hunter became just totally different experience, read-through experience for me. Mm-hmm. Crollo, as soon as I saw Crollo, I knew he was.
I remember your volume 8 cover reaction.
Yeah, dude.
Where it's like, yo, who is this guy?
He immediately went into. So as soon as I saw Crollo, I was like, okay, this is a character that has a lot of drip and a lot of aura, but sometimes characters aren't necessarily well done. But within the first, 3-4 chapters that he's introduced, I knew he would be one of the characters that I would end up liking. And the more I read the series, the more I was right. And eventually, Crollo ended up outpacing both Lelouch and Sensui for me at the top. The Easter's panel, my God,
yeah.
that panel changed Hunter for me. That was an extremely livid, not even it's a vivid experience reading through that with you as I turned each page, one by one.
When you learned,
I wish I could have captured that moment, because that was next level.
When you got Crollo's conversation with Uvo about Judas, when you finally got to learn Crollo's name, that his full name was Crollo Lucifer. You got the Lucifer part where he was speaking to Neon, and you were losing it because it's like, yo.
Yeah. Or the Requiem panel. Oh, dude, the Requiem panels were so good in the manga. I was like, what is he doing? Why are we over a building? And then I flipped the page.
Maestro.
He's conducting an orchestra. Maestro, yeah. He's conducting an orchestra for Uvo. Pakanoda seemed like a very bland character initially, but by the end of York New, I really felt for her, and she felt like a very crucial piece of the Phantom Troop. We got, the battle between Gon, Killua, and Phaeton and the others, while they are captured, them to try and have the conversation and them trying to escape. Kind of felt very, very interesting, but I was more interested on auctions, the Shadow Beasts who turned out to be disappointments, but the mystery element, the way they ended up having to outplay and beat the Phantom Troop while unfortunately being unable to beat the Phantom Troop, and the predictions and this entire aspect of so many different moving pieces coming together in a very, very cinematic wrap up. And we got to see a different facet of Kurapika for the first time in York New. And despite his goals, he was put in a position where he could have killed Crollo, but also it was not an easy decision for him to make. Yeah. That he had to leave him, that he had to spare him. Because if he did, then things would have been very, very different. Mm-hmm. The outcome would have, things would have played out very, very different. Yeah.
All right, Strata. Now I ask you the same question. How do you feel about YuYu Hakusho? And is that your very first experience to Togashi, or did you experience Hunter first, then go to YuYu Hakusho, and then kind of like how eventually I would go back to experience Level E and all his other works? And how do you feel about what was that moment in Hunter for you where you were like, this is special? Please speak.
So for me, the timeline of events were a bit more straightforward, as it were, where it was a direct causation of back in the day. I used to watch a YouTuber named an anime and manga YouTuber named King of Lightning regularly. I don't know if y'all are
Richard,
familiar with
I
him.
watch King. Yeah, I watch Paul. Yeah.
The 1,000-pound
Right.
chocolate ball. Truffle.
Right. So it's hilarious. I absolutely love him.
Mhm.
And at the time, I had just gotten into anime and manga. Fun fact, that's still embarrassing. It was besides like Naruto and like stuff like that aired on TV that I didn't know was like anime at the time when I was watching it as a kid. The first anime that I watched that I knew was anime was actually Fairy Tail. So fun fact there. But and that's how I ended up watching King of Lightning, because I was watching his Fairy Tail reviews and that whole descent, right? So anyway, I ended up watching King of Lightning, and then I watch I believe it was, I'm trying to remember if it was, because it was two right back to back, and it was either his anime review or it was the chapter review at the time for Hunter x Hunter, because at the time it was Meruem versus Netero fight had just happened, and it
in
was
the anime, right?
I remember now. Yes, it was the first video I watched that made me consider checking out Hunter x Hunter from King of Lightning was Togashi is back.
I remember.
Like, who's Togashi?
I remember because
like,
when that episode came out, Hunter was announced to come back in the manga. And we were all cracking jokes that Togashi saw how godly his writing was, and then he decided to come back and spit some fire for us. Yeah,
that deadass.
We were saying that in the comments of that video. I remember.
Man, I think for me, like YuYu Hakusho episodes was like well before the anime space existed or YouTube existed.
Right, exactly. So I'm a latecomer in comparison to you guys, right? But
yeah, you got into it in the 2010s.
Right, but the thing is, he had said that something along the lines of like, oh, Hunter x Hunter is the best. Like, he was like really, really, really gassing it up more than anything I ever seen gassed up before in my life. Like, genuinely, like I had never seen a series gassed up so much in my life. He was like, oh, this is better than like 16 girls in your bed. Yada yada. It's like the greatest work of all time. Like, he was saying this shit. I'm like, man, there ain't no way this is good. This is like, this man is just yapping. I'm like, this man is doing his clownery thing, you know, because there ain't no way there's something this good. But I wrote it down on the list to check it out. So I watch episode 1, and then immediately I end up binging like the whole first 25 or so episodes, and then I end up binging the rest of it over the next 2 days. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I end up watching like all his reviews of the chapters of the thing, and end up reading the manga after that, catching up to where it was there. And so after that, I was like just obsessing with Hunter for a while, and then I was thinking like, the more I got into Hunter, the more I was realizing how deep it is, and like it's endlessly deep, unboundlessly deep, as I've told you before. And something I realized is like, okay, in order to understand this manga better, I'm gonna have to understand the author better, because like this work is just too deep for me, like not to understand what this guy is thinking. Like, I'm gonna be missing stuff, obviously. So that's when I decided, okay, I'm gonna go watch YuYu Hakusho.
Was this? And did you finish Hunter at that point, or did you finish?
Yeah, I had finished Hunter at that point. I was watching the 2011 anime.
So you finished the anime, then you went to YuYu Hakusho.
Yeah, I finished Hunter x Hunter anime, read the manga, and then I moved to YuYu Hakusho.
Okay, what year was that?
this was around. So I was this wasn't all at once. So it took like I said, it was around when King of Lightning released that video when I first heard about it. So this had to be around like 2016, 2017, if I memory serves. And then I think the anime was ending around that time.
No,
and I watched
the anime ended in 2014. So this would have been around the volume 33 chapters.
Right. So I was watching it, and in any case, I was watching it as he was releasing the chapter episodes and chapter reviews, and I was keeping up with him on that. And then like I forget exactly when because my memory's still a little funny, but a little bit after like the chapter reviews had stopped for a while because it was on hiatus.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, okay, I should probably like check in on YuYu Hakusho and like and watch the anime and read the manga of that. So that was the timeline of events. And could you repeat the second question? I think it was
what
like,
exactly
how
was
did
your,
I feel about it?
Yeah, the question, the second part was, what was the moment in Hunter x Hunter where you realized this is special?
Oh, that was easy. For me, it was the exact same as Grin. It was in the anime where you see the Requiem for Uvogen. Because like before that, I was like enjoying it immensely, like because like I said, I was binging it. But it was at the Requiem for Uvogen. It spoke to something like in the best way I could describe it is kind of like a spiritual experience where I was just watching it. I was thinking about how deep everything was, all this, and how everything in the story had led up into this moment. Like nothing in the story, if you look back on it, was ever going to lead to like anything else. But it's like not obvious at all. Like it just feels so natural. Even though, despite like if you start at like the first page of Whale Island, you have no idea this massacre is coming. But like once you understand like the essence of the story and like its themes and where it's going, you understand that this massacre was inevitable, and like from this character, it's definitely inevitable. And it was just speaking to me so bad as like, wow, so this is what like literature and like good writing can do. I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
I was like, he wasn't just gassing it up. Like this really is like that, like way better than like any like relationships like you could like get in or like stuff like that or like other things. It's just like quality stuff.
Yeah. Factual. What are your guys' feelings on, unfortunately, the big brother but little brother of Hunter, Level E?
I absolutely.
Because with Grin, he never finished it. He never read the manga. I put him on the anime. He didn't finish it.
I can't. I'll be very honest. I can't. I cannot. I respect it for what it is, but it's just
honestly,
it's not my thing.
It's honestly, an acquired taste. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's definitely something that
because
if you're not vibing with Togashi, you're not gonna vibe with it. But if you are, you are. It's like it's that simple.
To be fair to Grin, if he read the manga version, he probably wouldn't mind it. Because the reason that
I started with
stop,
the anime actually.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the anime.
Yeah, I started with the manga. Then I learned I had an anime, and then I watched it. With Grin, I only put him on the anime version, and what made him stop? I remember this very clearly. This was years ago. I put him on the color. We were on the Color Rangers episode, and then he got to the part where they were like, Bako Oji was singing, and he was like, trolling with them.
I can't stand it.
He could not stand how cringy it felt seeing the
that was the point, though.
I think at some point my brain clocked it out and I deleted it from my memory. I don't even remember what that was like. That's how much of
Man in blacked his memory. He was just like, delete that.
Yeah.
We don't need that.
Bro, I love YuYu Hakusho, man. I love Level E. Like, such an underrated classic to me, man. It's such a damn shame that people don't really experience the rest of Togashi's catalog.
I will say that I love you're gonna hate me for this art, but like I do like in a very specific type of way, like in a very like motherly type of way, in a Shia Poof and Yuppie type of way. I just love all of Togashi's big three works equally because they're all like have different type of things that appeal to me very specifically that I like. And then there's something that makes them all come together the best. That's why it's my favorite.
Yeah.
But both Yu Yu Hakusho and Level E are like Hunter x Hunter like split in two, and like they have like the different aspects of Hunter x Hunter that I like in.
I'll be honest. I was baited with Hunter x Hunter, or Hunter x Hunter. I was baited because I thought it would be an adventure series, and it turned out to be anything except that. But
after a fashion.
That being said, I was more than happy with the way things ended up playing out. Mm-hmm. I was like, "Hey, this is Hunter x Hunter. It's like an adventure series." It felt like false advertising, but I was not only pleasantly surprised. Like the more I read, the more I'm like, "This is awesome. This is really, really good." Because every arc felt like a different reading experience. Because I do read like books. I used to read a lot more often than I do now. Currently, I only read like manga or webtoons, but back in the day, I used to read a lot of books. And
to quote Thomas Shelby, I read books.
Yep. I liked the fact that every arc had a different flavor of, I guess, a different genre of experience, while somehow managing to keep the story kind of continuous.
Yeah.
Which is a very difficult thing to achieve when if every arc has a different like reading experience, it's extremely hard to kind of have the see-through line between each arc come together in a very functional and well-written manner when you expect the reader to shift their reading experience.
It's such a versatile story. This is something I always talked about when it comes to Hunter. Every arc is like a different genre, and if you're like in the mood for like crime noir, cat and mouse thrillers like York New, then you're gonna like pop out York New like it's a book and read that. Or like you're in for the video game sports mood, then you go to Greed Island. Or if you're into like the politics, you either go to like Election or Succession War.
And if you're more for philosophical love, like more
Chimera
like
Ant.
Yes or Not, then Chimera Ant,
Yeah, like and the fact that you take the story, it somehow works, where it's versatile. Every story and every arc fits together and it flows perfectly. And if you remove one arc, the story kind of crumbles, because every arc is perfect. Even people who want to slander Greed Island,
I will say this.
Yeah,
it's not like, for me, because there's a lot of stories that basically have a different flavor, but it's not just the fact that it's a different flavor. It's the fact that every arc genuinely felt like I was reading a new manga. And that's very difficult to capture. Like, how do I say this? People are gonna.
There's something in it for everyone when it comes to Hunter.
People are gonna probably hate me for this, but as someone who reads One Piece, every arc has its own thing, right? But even though every arc captures its own kind of like vibe or its own like genre, the overall theme still feels very adventure centric because you're going from island to island with different things. That is not the flavor for Hunter. Like, starting Yorknu and ending Yorknu felt entirely like a
entirely different.
Yeah, it felt like an entirely different manga with just the same characters and nothing else. Then reading Election, very, very political heavy. There's so much dialogue, barely any action when it comes to the front. With the action being, Killua and
the only fight you get in that arc is Hisoka Goda, and that's not even a chapter long.
Yep.
Like, Hart, you've written about this, right? How there's a lot of Buddhist influence in like Hunter x Hunter, and I think Hunter x Hunter in general is just a work.
It takes inspiration from Buddhism and Hinduism and a bunch of other.
So many like
Every time we get to a chapter, I look at her and I'm like, hey, wait, hold up. He's like, what's up? What did you catch? And then I'll go find the wiki and I'll be like, aha, here's something. Here's a reference, and then post it like wiki panel to the chapter, and then Hunter would be like, wait, I see what he did here.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm telling you, bro, Hunter is too deep, bro. It's too deep. And it's exactly as you say, there's so many Buddhist references especially. And I think the story in general, it reminds me, the whole series in general, it reminds me of the Buddhist narrative of the go-kart, of having, I forget what the name of the story is exactly, but basically it's like, there's a fire in the house, and the father's trying to get his sons out of the house.
Mhm.
But it's a big mansion, so he promises all his kids different types of variations of cart. You know, one of them he promises like a go kart. One of them he promises an ox cart and a horse cart, or another horse cart, etc. But in the end, he all gives them like the same like premium cart, and like the whole theme of that story was that the Buddhist message is like that. Like, it doesn't matter your original
The
circumstances.
parable
Like,
of the
he's
burning
gonna,
house.
yes, that's it. That's it. The parable of the burning house. You're gonna come out being enlightened, and Hunter x Hunter feels exactly that way to me. It attracts so many different fans and so many people from so many different outlets, but you all come out enlightened with a better experience after reading Hunter.
Yeah. So in my case, with how I got into Togashi's works, is unlike, because here's the thing, you guys both know this about me. I love clowning on the YuYu Hakusho anime, and these YuYu fans say, "Oh, you're just Hunter biased." Like, no, unlike you guys, I don't let the nostalgia goggles blind me into seeing the flaws of that anime, because I actually finished. So here's the thing. I got into Hunter as a kid through the 99 anime. And then I only watched up to how many episodes of the Hunter 99 there was. Since, of course, York New wasn't even finished at that time in the early 2000s. The anime only had 62 episodes. I never knew about the Great Island OVAs. What's up?
This the same way when Succession War finally gets adapted. They'll be like, they didn't have Succession War back then.
Yeah.
I'll be like, you didn't know how it was.
You didn't know how it was, man. And years later, I found out about the Hunter 2011 anime, and of course I was a young kid, and then I watched it. I couldn't get into it back then, because I was like, back then I was still a meathead. I wasn't the heart I am now. I wasn't fully educated. I wasn't initiated yet.
You know, everyone has their cast they got to go through. It's like the eras they have to go through. We all start out as meatheads and then evolve into intellectuals, hopefully.
Yeah. Like, there used to be a time where I thought Chimera Ant was boring. I was like, man, like, the pacing is so slow. Like, this is just uninteresting to me. You know, like, I just didn't care. I was like, yo, when are we gonna get to the fights? I want to see Medium versus Netero. And then I didn't even finish the Hunter 2011 anime. And then around like my teenage years, I watched YuYu Hakusho. I finished that. I fell in love with it in the beginning. You know, I loved the story. And then over the years, I'd like rewatch it again, put my brother on it, and then it got to a point. And then like I was like a few years older, and then I rewatched Hunter x Hunter, and I loved it. And then of course I got into the manga. And then like over the years, and then I tried to recently put by recently I mean like 5 or 6 years ago, I tried to put someone on YuYu Hakusho, and I was like, man, this is actual garbage. This is so bad. And then I initiated myself with the manga version, and I fell in love with the manga version of YuYu Hakusho and realized just how much the anime removes. But man, like, it's like a switch flip for me, where Hunter became exactly the kind of story I want, where it just has exactly everything. Phenomenal arcs, variety. It doesn't get boring. You know, there's this uniqueness to it, all these different genres and flavors that other stories just simply aren't gonna have, and this gives Hunter its edge to where it can't really get boring because of this versatility and the fact that it all flows and connects. Even though it feels like a different arc, he somehow managed to pull this off, and it all like fits thematically as well. And then the dreaded hiatus happened from 2018 to 2022, and during that time, man, my love for Hunter grew, and that was when, and during that time, I was like doing all this research and I was digging about Hunter x Hunter. I just wanted to learn more about Togashi. That was when I found out about Level E, and I read it, watched the 99.
Yep.
My love for it grew even more, and then later down the line, I got Grin into it.
Yep, I was there because this man, me and Hart were in a mutual like Discord server.
Yeah.
He was the only one posting things about Hunter, and I'm like, why is this man always talking about Hunter? And like, the only person in this entire server who's just glazing Togashi.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? It was like, bro, I live by a rule. I never trash anything unless I've read it entirely first. I have to read it.
First, I put you on World Trigger, then Shigurui, and then Hunter.
Oh, dude. World Trigger, I binged that. That went by so quick. I remember
3 days.
Like what? 3 days, yeah.
Yeah.
My God, I went from chapter
He said,
1.
I am speed.
Yeah, and then that same immediately after World Trigger, for the next 3 days, I finished Shigurui, and my God, I needed a break after Shigurui. I felt extremely like, how do I say, affected by certain panels, by the vividity of certain details of certain like scenes in Shigurui. But the story was great.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really enjoyed the story. Great characters, very, very dark setting, different time.
Mm-hmm.
Like early on, it's easily lets you know there's no good guys in the show, like in Shigurui.
Yeah, there's a reason why I put Grin on Shigurui, and that was for the fact of the narration writing style. Because I put him on World Trigger, I put him on Shigurui as like test drives, and then I'm like, all right, now he's ready for Hunter.
Yeah. So I need
you gotta have them mentally prepared for sure.
Yeah.
I needed like a 2-3 day break or 2 days break after Shigurui, and then I just binged Hunter, and I think I finished Hunter in a week.
About you got sick in the middle of that week.
I finished Hunter in a week, and I would have finished it earlier.
But you got a fever from the dopeness. Yeah.
I literally, I read from after
literally
Greed Island
too much heat.
Halfway through Greed Island.
From halfway through Greed Island all the way until halfway through Chimera Ant in a single day.
Yeah. You finished,
Here's the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. With Togashi's works, I feel like just in general, everybody could agree that as you read more of them, they become better. Like, they reinforce each other. You never read a work from his and then read another one from him and feel like, oh, wow, that was worse. And, like, I got a worse experience because I read that. Like, every time you read a work of his, it's like, regardless of the quality, it makes the other works better.
I ended up catching up. Then I read the Kurapika Memories. And then I told Hart, all right. He's like, I was like, okay, yeah, cool. When's the next chapter? He's like, that's it, Michael. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, that's it. And then I told him, I was like, bro, don't worry. They'll drop, Togashi. Maybe they'll come back in like 2 months or drop something. He's like, bro, stop the cope. I've been waiting. And at this point, Hart had been jaded. He was like, bro, I've been waiting for so long. There's no signs of him coming back. nothing's gonna happen. Don't worry about him. I'm like, bro, he's gonna come back. He's like, bro, stop.
He had dead eyes. I know the feel.
Listen.
He was like,
It's
stop.
like I worked through it a long time ago. It's like I just come to accept that he releases. When he releases, the greatness takes
He's
time.
like, it's not coming back. I'm like, no, it'll come back. And then I was like, I told Hart, okay, well, I guess I won't talk about Hunter. And then I proceeded to talk about Hunter.
Yeah, I remember that, bro. This guy.
Every single day after. Because I just had so many theories in my head about different characters, different aspects of the world building, different questions.
It changes your brain chemistry for sure.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I'm naturally somebody who loves world building, exploding and stuff. That's the main reason I got into like One Piece, or I like Naruto, or like all these other like shows, Bleach, Hunter. I love world building. I love characterization. I love theory crafting more than anything about power systems, characters. What could happen, what couldn't happen, and I think part of that is because growing up, there was a lot of anime that or mangas that I really liked reading, and then that never either got finished or just fell off the face of the earth. And so one of the things I hate more than anything is an unfinished story. Unfinished stories are like the most irritating thing for me. And it's not because I don't appreciate the mangas, because I appreciate the manga so much that like, at least for me, I needed to have some sort of closure or ending. Because otherwise my brain will just continue to spiral out of control trying to figure out what's gonna happen, which is the other reason why I get really irritated when I get into a series and then Shonen Jump axes it, like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. Relatable, bro.
Grin.
Yeah.
Strahd, I have a question for you both.
What's up?
What was the moment for you both when you got to Succession War and it started to click for you? Because for
immediately.
Yeah.
Like, bro.
It's the best art. It's the best art.
I know. I knew the moment that this man started with the Hisoka.
That's tough.
He said, "Okay, I am firing off on all cylinders this whole arc, like full."
It's hard, okay? Because I was like, cool. I got to election arc and I was like, this is great, cool. I'm like, cool. We're very close to wrapping up or getting to the hiatus section. There doesn't seem to be anything. I wonder what's happening. Killua's gone. Gon is gone.
And you were still asking me.
And then I got that double page spread of the Dark Continent. Yeah. I was like, bro, what?
Grin.
Hello?
I remember this. Even because there were two things you were wondering about. One, am I ever gonna see Crollo again? Because you don't see this man after the East It Is moment. Yep. You see him briefly in that one Greed Island page, and then you see him briefly in that little joke page in Chimera at very early, like in volume 20. You only see that man there, and then you don't see him again. And then the other thing was like, yo, this is supposed to be an adventure manga. Like, when am I gonna get like the lore, the adventure? When am I gonna get that sort of stuff?
That's great.
And I had to be silent. I had to be silent.
You said I have to.
Yeah, and then you got to chapter. You got to chapter 338, and you finally got to see that DC spread where Jing was on the World Tree talking to him like, "Oh,
I was losing my shit."
I
was like, "What do you mean that the entire world is in a small lake?"
This little lake, bro. And then the chapter after that, well, 2 chapters later, because 340, you then get the Beyond stuff, and then Nasubi and Kakin. And then over the course of the volume 33 chapters, I will take you there. And over the course of that stretch, you get Don Freaks lore, you get Calamities, like bro, an insane amount of DC lore. Like the world just suddenly unraveled.
And then I hit hiatus, and I was like, no,
dude. And then after that, because that was the wordiest volume you experienced. It took you 3 hours to finish that whole single volume.
And the thing is, I read really fast.
Yeah.
Like generally, I'm a pretty fast reader. Because when I read things, I imagine them like in my head. Like I can see it happening. I'm a very visual person. As I read any like text, I imagine it kind of like I can imagine a movie or a anime scene in my head when I read text. This is the other reason why, like, whenever I read books, I go through them pretty quickly because the descriptions and scenes and dialogue kind of naturally play out in my head to the point where I can kind of see it happening rather than having to. I don't really require pictures. So, but that volume 33, that was tough. That was tough.
And it's an insane amount of information. It's like at least top 5 volumes in all of Hunter. Just for the amount of stuff that you do get in there.
The Succession War is that every single arc and every single like volume improves on the last one somehow. It doesn't even make logical sense.
Oh yeah. Like
literally doesn't even make sense. It's like, all right, we reached the peak. It's like, no, actually, we can get much higher. It's like, all right,
we saw this in
real
real time.
How much it is. It's like, no, actually, we can go higher.
Yeah.
Everything kept like once we got like past volume 33, I think like in volume 34 or something.
34 was the Hisoka Crollo fight, by the way. Yep.
Yeah.
And I remember you were losing your shit because like, your favorite character Crollo was back. And you finally got to see that fight from York
in manga history.
Yeah. And here's the thing: as I was reading it, all right, Hart was telling me, there's a whole thing between Crollo and Hisoka, and I'm like, bro, they're not even on the same league. And here's the thing: that was before I started reading the fight. I'm like, why is this a debate? Why?
And then he said, "I will win 100%." You guys don't even. Here's the thing, right? Hart, you were not Hart. Grin. You were out here worried about Crollo. I was not worried about Crollo. I said the prophecy said he's coming back. He believes in the prophecy. He's coming back, and he's gonna win.
I was not worried about.
And he won.
I was not worried. I was not worried about.
Yo, Togashi delivered. I was so happy.
I was not worried about Crollo. Like a lot of Hart was telling me, a lot of people are there. So the Hisoka Glazers that like think Crollo is just gonna. I'm like, no, he's too cool. Here's the thing: my logic is Crollo's not gonna die because that's Togashi's favorite character. Why would he kill off his favorite character? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. I wasn't even thinking about the when I got to that thing. I wasn't even thinking about the predictions. That came after. I just needed to see how how he folded Hisoka, and then after folding Hisoka was like, nah. He decided to be extra petty and take.
That's the thing I love about Togashi.
I'm like, oh, come on, bro.
That's no character.
I was like, nah, that's a bish move. I'm like, bro, what you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Bro,
what were you gonna say, Strada?
The worst part is I could have predicted this if I had just known how committed Togashi was to being the GOAT. So it's like I knew this. Like I even knew he was the GOAT. But I didn't know how committed he was to being the GOAT because logically speaking, I'm thinking Corolla's gonna win because Corolla's gonna follow fate. But I'm also thinking Hisoka wouldn't accept dying. It's emotionally speaking, but it's logically he has to die. So Togashi really said, "Hold up, Uno reverse." He said, "Yu-Gi-Oh! What's that Yu-Gi-Oh card? That brings some monsters back."
Monster Reborn.
He used Monster Reborn out here. It's like he used all the reverse board game tricks to bring back Hisoka. I'm like, this man, bro, this guy.
Bro, it was such an insane moment, man. And then the fact that fight, because I remember, man, before that, Togashi was on a hiatus. Then he came back with chapter 350 where Kurapika was meeting Oito, and you get all the stuff with the princes. You see Hanzo, Bisky, Uzunabi, Basho, all these guys for the first time in decades. And then the next week after that, you see Hisoka Crollo. It's like, hold on, what? This came randomly, Togashi? We were just there with the princes. Yeah, and then the way Togashi somehow skillfully weaves all of these insane subplots back from your to this.
Yep.
Up to
George R. R. Martin can never.
390.
Up to 390.
Last chapter of 2018.
And then that's when I was like, where's the next chapter? He's like, that's it, my guy. And then 2 months, and then I was like, nah, he'll come back. And then I was like, bro, watch him. He'll come back in 2 months. He was like, stop.
At least 3 or 4 months later, because he came back in May of 2022.
This man dropped the a Twitter account, just a random Twitter account. I was like,
Yeah,
Who's this
speaking of
bag?
his legacy, you want to talk about legacy, the most followed mangaka to this
Yup.
day.
Yup.
yeah.
on
I was like,
social
bro, what
media.
is this random ass manga? This seems like a fraudulent fake account, right? And then he started posting panels.
Nah,
I was like,
I
was
knew,
like,
I
ain't no
knew it
way,
was
bro.
him
That
because like this is
legendary,
the amount of effort he would put into a username. It's like, yeah,
the
No,
legendary
the
tree
thing is, when
image.
we,
still him.
I think me and Hart followed him like well
Instantly.
before he got like early on, well before he got
Instantly.
like shit. I was like, bro, what is this? This seems like a kind of sus.
Yo,
account.
Togashi's such a genius, bro. He's a marketing genius on top of everything else too.
Yeah, and then I got the 391 to 400 stretch, and oh
Man.
my god,
Dude.
395, 396, 397. That was a legendary moment for me because I was like, I finally get the Corolla, like the Phantom Troop backstory, and he ties it in back to like York knew in 397.
And the
With
and the Kurapika backstory
I'm like, no way, bro.
with Sheila.
Yo.
And most people don't read that
and people
Kurapika
be hyping
backstory.
up like the One Piece foreshadowing too, and like no offense to the One Piece fans, of course, but like at least you have to say like Hunter x Hunter reaches the same level.
I was like,
Bro,
no
this is
way, dude. And me and Hart were like, wait, because I still have like the chats of like me and Hart going back and forth and be like, hey, yo, this man dropped another chapter. And he's like, okay, let's get him easy. We
Yeah.
just sat there and talked. And we sent panels of the chapter back and forth and be like, hey, yo, isn't this a reference? And when we got to the end of 397, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
wait a minute. Hold up. Hart, go back to York.
Yeah.
We went back.
Hold up, wait a
Dude,
minute.
there's so many moments where he was just referencing this. And then the way that flashback enhanced Pakunoda, our understanding and love for the true Uvo. Like, you got to see all these characters when they were kids. What made Crollo
I love Machi with the stick.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Man, and then
It's just their energy.
And then-
dude, the scene in 397 when Crollo, like, surrounded with the rest of the troop, basically goes up to the tree and opens the bag.
yeah.
That still fucks me up. That's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
That was, because here's the thing. I remember, because as the chapters were dropping, me and Hart went back to Togashi's Twitter and was like, hey, yo, what the fuck's this tree? What is this
Yeah.
tree? And then we got closer. I'm like, bro, that tree's gonna be something important. And yes, it was important. I just didn't think it was gonna be as dark as it did. I was like,
And I love how
Yeah.
Togashi used that as like one of his initial like tweets for like his Twitter. It's like, hey guys, I'm on. What's up? Social media. How you doing?
Dude.
And it's like it's only after you read the manga when you know. It's like the does he know me? It's like does he know?
What was so crazy about that tree page is the fact that it was like, hold on, why are we seeing a tree? We're inside a ship. And then it's like the idea is like, yo, are we seeing DC? Are we going back to the
DC?
old world?
Oh yeah.
Like,
we were speculating.
yeah, we were speculating, man. We were like mad dogs there. And then there was also the other theory, like, is this like a flashback? And of course it was a flashback, but to who we didn't know.
Right.
Man, and I remember when those chapters were coming out, we were wondering just exactly how long this flashback was gonna be. And of course, it was only going to be 3 chapters
Like
long.
even in that chapter leading up to the actual moment when he opens the sack on the tree.
Yeah.
You know things immediately went bad because the shading and tone in the entire like on all the panels leading up to that moment is just hella dark.
Yeah.
100%.
100%.
It's so depressing.
Yeah,
you
I
can
think
immediately tell it's,
Togashi
like,
really
hella
gets
depressing.
into his tragedy bag in terms of like the art, the peak of his artwork. It's like I don't think he's ever drawn sadder pictures ever in his life.
Be hella bad.
Yeah. That's something this is something that gives Hunter this edge compared to like most other shonen. And I know most of these shonen fans are probably going to be mad at me. And it's the fact that Hunter doesn't feel as corny or as like lighthearted and fun. Of course, other series are gonna have their dark moments. You know, My Hero has its dark elements. One Piece has its dark elements. Naruto has its dark elements. But there's such a high amount of levity and fun and charm in those stories. Whereas with Hunter, it gets to a certain point where the story feels so real and so in tune with our world that it doesn't have that much levity and fun. And of course, York News like the very first dark arc, but even that has like moments where it feels very action shonen, battle shonen. So it doesn't
One
feel
moment,
too.
I'm be right back.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Nah, dude. The panels up to that moment. I remember we were talking about how like Corolla seemed like such an innocent, like good kid.
Yeah.
The
him dubbing.
The fall of innocence was just devastating.
I remember like Corolla was already your number one by then, man. Like before that flashback, he was already your number one character, even though you barely see him. And then after that flashback, then it's just getting to see who he was. Yeah, it just cemented him. No one's coming close after that. Dude, like him dubbing the power cleaners. Him acting.
Oh, dude, Uvo, Phaeton, everybody had like such different like. There were a lot more happy and upbeat and like optimistic, like children, like the innocence of children existed. And then what happened just kind of took everything away.
When Uvo said when Corolla wanted to nominate Uvo as the leader, and then Uvo said, "No, you're the leader, and I will follow you until I die." And it's like, man, you finally got to see just why Corolla cried for this man back in York New.
Yep. Or before they came back, where Corolla was like, somewhere in the far future, we're gonna need to do this, and that man just like knew that the age of internet was gonna happen, and he just kind of started doing his own thought. I don't know how much foresight.
To the
I was talking about how like
predicting the internet.
I was talking about how like even up to the moment where like Corolla actually opens the bag. When you first get the flashback, you get to see like Corolla's like innocence and good nature. He was genuinely just a good-natured kid. He's just an innocent, good-natured kid, just like the others. All the other kids are kind of like brats and stuff, but they all were good. They were all close-knit family. They went to like, I guess, the church, their equivalent of church, and just kind of, they were all fun and young children, right? But that scene where it's raining and they have to find the Sarasa inside the bag, I'm like, that scene broke the readers. And definitely broke that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Mm-hmm. That changed them forever.
Yeah, and the thing is, the Meteor City Elders, for me, the worst part of it, like I could go into like a lot of details about that scene. Like I could just talk forever about Corolla as you could, because he's also my favorite character. But I think the part that gets me the most is just how the Meteor City Elders is like they knew something like this was gonna happen. Maybe not this specifically. But like they were scoping out Corolla as like the future leader of the Meteor City, because like they knew, or like a useful tool, because like they knew like, oh, we can use this guy, and it's like whatever happens that ends up being like tragic, because this is Meteor City, he's gonna want to like get his get back, and it's like when that happens, we're gonna be ready, clearly, and they were.
Yeah, like in the dynamic among the children, right? The troop as a children. Corolla was never like the strongest or the smartest or the best at anything. He's very, very resourceful, very like clever on handling certain situations of like, you want to read this book? This is how you read the book.
But
he was very resourceful with the way he did things.
His age is the thing.
He just had that specialist aura charisma to him that united everybody.
Mm-hmm. But when the bag was on the tree and everybody was like weeping. Nobody could, nobody wanted to get closer and inspect it. My goat literally walked up and, hesitatingly opened the bag. And that moment right there changed him forever.
There was also there was also the letter that he read.
Yep.
And it was in that language and we still don't know what that was about.
Yep. We don't know that language.
Dude.
Yeah. Him and the troop from that point onward were just like you said, Uvo basically said, I'll follow you anywhere till death. Mm-hmm. Right? And Corolla basically looking forward to the future, knowing that with the way things are, if they want to make sure things like this don't happen again, and also to find out Saras's killer and all these things, he and everybody else need to get stronger, and things needed to change. Yeah. And so the origin of the troop just...
Grin. I will become a villain, the one the whole world will feel.
Oh, yeah.
Man. What a line, bro.
Absolute cinema. Literally the absolute cinema was made for that moment. Moments
and the thing is, that line is what I remember reading that page and telling her, I was like, bro, this is the reason this man's up there for me with Sensui and Lelouch and the other goats up there. Because I'm like, bro, you have a character who's a villain, but he's not just a villain for the sake of being a villain. This man has an idea, a goal, a morality, something that happened that forced him to go down this route.
Yeah.
And now he knows exactly what he's going to do.
And he ended up...
He still has his own lines that he doesn't cross.
And he ended up becoming... Yeah, and he ended up making a Corolla of his own down the line with Kurapika in the Kurta. Man, mm-hmm. And this is a thing that when those chapters came out, people, of course, people want to slander the GOAT. They wanted to say that, he retconned the Phantom Troop or the Kurta stuff, or he's trying to whitewash the troop in order to make them sympathetic. No, all he did was make what happened and them understand. He just wanted to make their motives understandable. He never tried to make us condone to what they did. They're still absolutely evil people. They're monsters.
Can I ask you guys a final question real quick? Because this is actually something that's related to the Togashi legacy, funnily enough. Because I think we can all agree that he writes more or less the best villains that we've all ever seen.
Easy.
Each of us individually.
Not even close.
So it's what do you guys think is the mindset that allows him to do this? How does he come about the ability to write these type of villains that are so in depth and also so relatable to so many people, or sympathetic to so many people, while also still being
I'd say human observation. I think his inspiration comes from just the human experience of what it means to be a human, whether it's by observing others that might be close to him, or experiences he sees on television or daily life and stuff. I feel like some of that kind of manifests as the central theme or idea, or for the inspiration for whatever he plans on writing. And then he starts with something small and then basically builds it outward in. So he starts with the theme, and then that theme basically manifests into whatever character that he makes, rather than starting with the character and then working his way in to what the character's about. He starts with what the character's about and then works his way out. That's the way at least I interpret that his approach to creating characters and meaningful storytelling in his writing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, you see this element of Togashi's skill with Toguro, with Sensui, and like Grin said, a lot of these characters are very tragic people, very, very human, have a lot of very human flaws. Togashi, with how I look at it, is the way he usually likes the character build. He's usually someone that thinks about what makes a character interesting. And then he embeds these characters with a lot of these human flaws. He characterizes them. The thing with a lot of these hunter villains is that he humanizes them in a very interesting way, where it's not just about how strong they are, how terrifying they are, their power level, they can cause this explosion, or what their power is. It's literally way more about us learning more about their personality and how they interact with the world and the characters, and then going very deep into their psychology. This is also how he wrote, Toguro and Sensui, where Toguro became who he is because of what happened with Kirin the demon, and then his soul was irreparably scarred, and it broke him, and then he ended up becoming a demon himself just to atone and make himself suffer, and because of his mortality and fear of death, and then with Sensui, with just how broken he was mentally. Yeah, like Togashi just has like some of the most unique villains in the game, and they're all very interesting, even Genthru.
Yeah, like if you had to write a character, right? Most people start from the outside and then work their way in, and what I mean by that is, let's imagine you start with the character. Normally, you'd be like, "Who? Who are the characters?" Then once you get the names for the characters, then you'd be like, what happened? Then you'll talk about what happened to each of these characters.
Mm-hmm.
Then you'll say, how did this happen? Right? Once you have the who and the what, you'll say, how did this happen? And then you get the how, and then eventually you get to the why. With Togashi, the why comes first. Why does this matter? Why does this moment, this emotion, this theme, why does it matter? Then he works out, how does this emotion affect others because this moment matters? Okay, what are the after effects of this moment or this, of this thing? And then he gets to the who. And so when you have a very cohesive story that starts building characters with the why first, and then you work backwards from the inside out. When you actually then pen it down on paper through manga, through an art form like manga, it becomes extremely cohesive and very, very compelling because you started with the why first, and it becomes very evident in the story. You don't have to tell the reader that this is the thing. The reader's experiences what happens to the character because you directly portray the moment, starting with the why, and then the reader can then kind of like put pieces together themselves to try and figure out, what sequence of events led from this why moment to how things unfolded until, you eventually get the character.
Yeah.
I have a question for you both. Do we also think that in terms of world building and foreshadowing, Togashi's just up there as one of the GOATs?
Yeah, I'll put Togashi in my top 5 for world shadowing. I wouldn't put him in any particular order because
genuinely, I wouldn't. I genuinely struggle to find people who are approach Togashi's level in terms of writing in just general categories. I've never met anybody who.
If you're talking about world building, yeah, I'll definitely put him there. I'll put him up there.
Yeah, world building and foreshadowing. Yeah.
Yeah, I am very biased because like he is literally my favorite, but I just think that the way he goes writing.
I want to say, at least for me, I'll put him up there in my top 5 for manga. I don't know if I want to put him because I read manga and books very differently.
Yeah,
they're very different forms.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I wouldn't treat them in the same manner. Because,
in terms of world building, I don't think none of us will disagree if we all put Tolkien above Togashi, because Tolkien's the literal god of world building. You're not touching that. He's the ideal.
Yeah, he's not. Togashi's not out here making his own languages, but the only thing that like makes me hesitate is just like it's not because he wouldn't or couldn't. It's just like he doesn't have enough time in the day to do it. He doesn't have like all the years that Tolkien had.
Yeah.
I'll put.
Maybe if he was in good health, he might have. I could see that, but we live in this world of lies.
Yeah.
But yeah, respect to Tolkien. Like his world building.
What are you gonna say, Gren?
I'll put Togashi in my top 5 for world building in manga, for sure.
Yeah. The thing with people is that they have this very skewed idea of world building. Specifically the One Piece fans. They like to say, I know you stifled the laugh, Gren. the One Piece fans, they like to do this thing where if a story has a whole bunch of locations, then that equates to world building. But really, world building is more than just that. It's about how the world connects, how places affect one another, or the situation of the world. And with Hunter, Togashi takes a very interesting approach where it's more like an urban fantasy. It operates on our world. It has our technology, phones, computers, all that sort of stuff. And then you have the fantastical element with the magical beast, and then the DC, and of course all those other more cosmic horror elements like the Chimera Ants. That's the very
me,
and then the
I
politics.
don't judge either of them the same.
And the governments,
both of them, both Oda and Togashi have different approaches to world building. I don't think either one is wrong. They both work for their own stories. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for me, world building is beyond locations. Yes, it is. It is how. It's how choices, either on the individual level or in the societal level, affect the world at large, and how decisions made by the hierarchical structures from systems, political systems, or otherwise, how decisions made there affect the rest of the world as well as individual characters in their day-to-day lives. World building is a system of decisions, societal pillars, decisions, locations, character building, choice and repercussions, and all of these minutia and different types of facets that affect a reader's experience and immersion into the story. If you just have locations, that's not good enough. That's not world building.
Yeah.
Or if you just have decisions, that's not world building. You need everything to be considered world building. You need lore, you need political aspects, you need consequences of one character's choice ripple out and affect another character's choice somewhere else. You need basically a sense of immersion to the point where things feel natural based on the systems you have already implemented early on in the story.
Granted, that's why I glaze Succession War, because the fascinating thing about Succession War is that the ship itself feels like the world itself because of all the different classes, the 5 floors, and how that embodies like a classism element, and how it's meant to essentially be a mini a microscopic version of our world. And then, while you're in the midst of the ship, you still get Kakin lore. You still get all this world-building lore and timeline lore, and how you get things that give you information about how things have affected the outside world in the past. For example, how Beyond's actions influenced so-and-so, and then how Kakin influenced Krollo, and then how
I think the best piece of world-building lore we got in the last batch was the stuff with Morena. And the Carbon Bar and all of that, which generally added an entire layer of complexity to the political situation, as well as the status, the determination of status of royalty, both within the kingdom itself as well as just generally nobles.
Yeah. The thing about Togashi's works, I think that has to do with the world building that makes it stand out most of all is the and this is something I commented on before, but it's the ecological aspects that he brings to each and every one of his series. Because he likes, one of his hobbies, of course, was studying nature and bugs and all that stuff. And he takes that aspect of his personality and he's able to incorporate that into all of the system he builds. Even going back all the way to YuYu Hakusho, for example, you have solid exemplars of ecological, for example, during Three Kings, you have those little bug things that in King's Road, and that in itself is that has massive world building implications just by placing that there. And Togashi's always factored it in, and I think that's why, as you said, he always like incorporates like the why in the first character thing.
Yeah.
I think that's partially like why, because like when you look at things from like a system causation perspective, from a wider boundary ecological perspective, you're thinking like what role, like what function does the critter serve in this environment? And if you look at characters that way, while still being able to be empathetic, like Togashi is able to do, and like portray them as people in a way that's like very well acted and well presented, you hit like that secret sauce of where it's like you get the full contents of them feeling like real people that feel, because they're in an actual environment that reacts to them, and like has these feedback relationships, while also like they have a certain role that fulfills a narrative purpose that works really well.
I feel like most people, if you remove the facade of like work and hobbies and just kind of whatever, and you get to the crux of a person, they have something at their core that basically defines who they are and how they are and what actions they do. But all of that is defined by the why of the person. If you understand the why of the person, you can understand literally everything else. How they approach, who they talk to, what decisions they make. And I think that's just humans in a nutshell.
Yeah.
If you take time to observe people, you'll learn a lot based on, like, if you observe people long enough, you can get a good sense of who they are, how they make decisions, and what they're likely to do in any given scenario or any given environment, as long as you understand the why of that individual first.
Yeah.
Because if you do it the other way around, where you get the person first, how and who, then the why becomes very, very like, it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
Which is another big thing in storytelling. I feel like one of the best things in terms of writing is if you figure out why a person's doing something, then everything else just makes sense, because you can just be like, oh, he's doing this because this is his goal. This is why he's doing this. This is why he's doing this. And like, yeah, it becomes very easy to write the story that way.
And then another element with Togashi that, unfortunately, the accursed New World Review, he has blood on his hands for this.
Leave the man
alone. No. If we're talking about the legacy of the GOAT.
Everybody hates on the Aussies.
We have to respect him for this facet as well, which is his ability to foreshadow.
I think Hart just hates the Aussies because he's always hating on all the Australian YouTubers.
No, Hart hates anybody who doesn't follow him, or who just talks bad about Togashi without understanding the nuances of the story.
I mean, that's valid. I'm the same, but like my thing is like I keep it down.
Them being Aussies is a coincidence.
Like I can't deal with this low level discussion anymore.
And for anyone who's listening, I do not take Hart's judgments or his stances on this. His stances are his alone. I'm keeping that right now. If he doesn't like...
So for anyone who's listening, I barely watch New World reviews, so it's like, I really know who they are. I did like a couple of their videos, to be fair, that I did see, but it's just like, I only really know them for them saying that Togashi made a retcon, and like, that's not true. With the NEM system.
Leave the man
like,
alone,
that wasn't true.
Please!
No.
Let him be!
No.
He seems alright.
Listen, hand
I
on his
biased
mama.
towards Aussies, though, so.
Hand on his mama's head.
Damn! Okay, second, Strada's views are his own and not mine. I have no association.
So, the thing, why I say this man has blood on his hands, is because New World Review has single-handedly essentially spread this misinformation that Togashi is unable to foreshadow. And as a result, people for years have had this belief that Togashi just writes on a whim. And they like using this example of the Battle Olympia, where if you actually pay attention and you actually look and you read what's being displayed to you in the arc, Going and kill, as soon as they learned about what's up there in the Battle Olympia, they were like, man, I don't care. I'm not going up there. Because the OG main goal was literally to make money, get stronger, and then fight Hisoka. This is before they knew Hisoka was on the 200th floor. And then once they achieved that goal, they didn't really care about anything up there. But these guys like to act that Togashi set up that, oh, they were going to go up to Battle Olympia, that was going to be explored, and then he changed, and to them, he changed his mind. They say this about almost everything that Togashi writes, where they think that he writes something, right? Then he gets bored, Togashi, and then he switches, he pivots.
Hasn't Togashi himself tried to give off the impression that he's very whimsical in how he goes about things, even though that's clearly not the case? And I think you've read Sensei Hakusho, right?
Yes.
Whereas he plans a lot more than he lets on, I think, and he likes to give the impression that he's much more like loose and like uncouth, like the dirty, scruffy type of thing than like he actually really is. So I think that's why it's so easy for people to like follow an agenda type of idea like that, where it's like, oh, he's just going along by the seat of his pants. Which, granted, like even if you were to say that, that was like, so he's writing a masterpiece on the fly, like while he's like sitting on the toilet. It's like that's fairly impressive of itself. Yeah. But no, I think the hiatuses are in large part due to like planning too. That's definitely a consideration. Yeah. So, and it clearly works. So
what are we gonna say,
I think any writer worth their salt knows foreshadowing is one of the greatest tools in their asset, like in their bag, and doing it is like it has to be done sparingly, but it also has to be done in a way where it doesn't feel jarring for the readers, because if you do a method of foreshadowing that is clearly not built for the style of story you're reading, then it kind of feels like some of the immersion breaks. Which is the entire reason why I feel like Oda's foreshadowing and Togashi's foreshadowing are very different approaches.
Yes, absolutely.
They do things. So if you suddenly take like one author's way of foreshadowing a story for whatever their story is, and then you try to apply that same logic to someone else, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Because you're not being fair to the author.
Yeah, you got to look at the function of the foreshadowing and how the author is using it.
Yeah. The thing with Hunter is that it's not written as rigidly as most other stories where it's going to show you absolutely everything.
Right.
Hunter isn't concerned with that because the ethos of it is the detours. It's more about the adventure rather than like a goal or a form of destination, like the Battle Olympiad is. Because it doesn't matter. It's just something that's right there on the road. Granted, we don't know anything about it. We're not going to learn anything about it until maybe if we ever see Zushi again. But it's just a thing that's there, that it just exists in the world, but it doesn't really matter to us emotionally, or we connect with it. There's a reason why I glaze Succession War. Granted, there's many reasons why I put that as my hell that is my number one. Fortunes, Greed Island, that's all. Like the Phantom Troop backstory, the Kurta backstory, and how it all connects into Succession War. Succession War damn near has everything. It has the foreshadowing. It has the build-up. It has the villains. It has the cast. It has the world building. Because honestly, without Succession War, the story wouldn't be as good and wouldn't be as tight-knit. And Succession War alone has done so much for the world, and has done so much for the Nen system. Like it's an insane.
And the thing is, Togashi was already the best Shonen Jump mangaka before Succession War started.
Yeah, he was already one of the goats. And then, man, I talked about this every time with Grin, but chapter 406, that Greed Island, him Crollo knowing
that's my favorite chapter.
Him learning about the treasures, and then this ties back into Greed Island, And here's the thing:
That
it
was
was
my
foreshadowed.
favorite chapter of that in that batch.
It was foreshadowed
Yeah,
even before.
same.
Guys, it was foreshadowed even before that with the fortunes,
Yeah,
where
yeah,
east is the direction to go. There you'll find someone waiting for you.
Mm-hmm.
And this inspired him to go to Greed Island. But
yeah, which we talked about.
Yeah.
We dropped in our video. Yeah.
Yeah.
That like most people who watch Greed Island are like, whatever. Didn't clock that small piece of dialogue from Razor. I'm like,
yeah. Or the card that he used where this sends you to the Asian continent, and he used that on Crollo, and that's how Crollo learned about the treasures. And of course, the fortune foreshadows him going to Kakin and DC, because that east is literally east of to the old world.
Kakin is east. Kakin is east of Yoknu.
Yeah, like, man, it's insane.
It's actually insane. It's literally hard to believe.
and he foreshadowed this over 20 plus years ago.
Yeah, we got the chapter. Like
the whole person read the chapter and grew up.
We got the chapter, and I remember like we read it. We talked about it, and then like a day or two afterwards, I went to her. I was like, "Hey, yo, wait."
We were theorizing how the hell would Crollo know about the treasure?
Wait. How would if he knows about the treasure, but how would he know about that unless he's been to Kakin before? And then I was like, yeah. And then Art's like, wait, hold up, let's go back. And then we went back and I was like, well, what about Greed Island? Because we were going arc by arc, trying to see if there's anything that indicates that the spiders head to Kakin or something. Or if there was anybody who told Crollo, like if there's any small bit of lore that Togashi had dropped that that Crollo had a conversation with somebody, and didn't seem anything. And here's the thing: Kakin was actually foreshadowed. The entire premise of Kakin was foreshadowed even before Greed Island in Yorknu, because several items were from Kakin in the auction.
Yep, there was that ugly looking vase that looks very similar to the seed urn, and then there was the sword. The sword, the golden sword that was from the Lai dynasty, which is a dynasty that's long gone from the Asian continent. So they were probably a Kakin victim.
Sword of good omens. You're like, bro, people didn't know this. Like, that was crazy. Then we got to the Razor chapter, and I was like, wait. Razor sent him to
the Asian continent. Yeah,
the Asian continent. I was like, oh shit, that means he must have landed and somehow found his way to Kakin, and then gathered information there by making contacts there. And then eventually the troop basically went there to try and find him, and ended up meeting up together.
Yeah,
all well before the whole Chimera Ant stuff happened.
It's insane, the level of planning, man, and that Crollo in universe was planning for this eventual heist later down the line. He knew he had to eventually fight and take care of Hisoka first, and then he had to go Mission Impossible.
This is the awe of my design of the spiders.
Yeah. That, bro.
I was talking about the absolute cinema meme earlier, but like actually, this is like what the actual absolute cinema meme was made for.
The treasure reveal just fundamentally changed so much that we know about Nen as a whole. Because I was like, bro, what do you mean there are 3 different objects? I was like, what do you mean there's 3 different objects that basically have so much stored Nen that you could be stronger than Hisoka or anybody on board the ship? What does that mean for Nen as a whole? And how does this tie into the 14 coffins? Like, there's so many questions me and Hart have.
I have a question for you both. What was the moment where Chimera Ant became, not Chimera Ant, Succession War became your number 1? For Grin, it was Yorknu. Yorknu was his number 1 for the longest time. And then for Strada, you said it was automatic.
You already know my answer. I already mentioned it twice.
Go for it, Strada.
I will say that I will say that a moment that stood out to me, as in, because like I already knew immediately that Succession was going to be his best ever, but I think the moment that stood out to me most before chapter 4 or 6, as the standout moment of the arc was when Hulkenberg confronted Nasubi,
382.
and Nasubi did the trolley problem, explained the whole trolley problem to him, and explained to him that if you want to say that there shouldn't be a king, become king first, and then say that. I was like, bro, I was on my actual hands and knees, bro. I was like, bro.
Well, yeah,
because everything about that scene was so perfectly crafted. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, if he becomes king, he can make any rules, but like, why would anybody respect him if he's not king? You know, he doesn't have any power at that point.
Man really said, arm yourself and then come back later. And the thing is, like, the characterization, like the foreshadowing for the Fourth Prince and the confrontation between him and Benjamin there, like the symbology between his awakening and like Kurapika's becoming more open, like the parallels between them, it's ridiculous. And like all in like one page in one chapter, all captured in one line. It's like ridiculous. Oh, damn. And again, that was before 406.
Oh man. Okay, I have a question. Most underrated or slept on characters in Succession War?
Bill.
Characters that people are sleeping on. That will definitely have some sort of a major role to play.
Oito.
Succession.
I think a lot of people do recognize Oito's intelligence, but like I don't think people recognize like how big of a role she is inevitably going to play because she is the one actively trying to keep her daughter alive. Like when people say Queen Wobo's gonna has all this plot armor, it's like what they're really saying is Queen Oito has all this plot armor, assuming that she can survive, because like if she were to die, it would probably be in some fashion of trying to save the kid. Not to say that Togashi wouldn't have her like die in vain, because he would, but odds are I think that Oto's gonna survive. And again, this could just be me being biased, but like again, she has been shown to be incredibly intelligent, and I think people like sleep on her a lot.
What about you, Hart?
I mean, we all know that. I think we'd be remiss to not say, for a lot of people to think that Bobby Mean is not going to be important. He's clearly being set up. He's been cooking since the 360s. Bill, for me, Bill has always been like one of my favorite underrated characters, but we know he's going to be important. He has ties to Beyond, and he has ties to Pariston. And the revelations with Beyond on 401 is going to make Bill more interesting. There's, of course, the Donjin subplot, but I know he's about to get folded by my GOAT, the Chosen One. What else?
I know who my two are. Immediately, Hart knows one of them, for sure.
Yeah, this man, a single coin man.
Yeah.
Dude, there's a lot of characters, man. It's tough.
There are.
There's so many. Zhang Lei. Zhang Lei just heavily slapped down.
Someone else, Hart, I'm not gonna steal your thing because I hope I'm not stealing it. But that grandma lady who watches Camilla, I forget her name. She's probably like a sleeper hit because I remember her having a killer ass line about like the role of
skin knees. Yeah.
So it's like I remember to keep an eye on her.
Yeah.
And have her like
the young have skin knees while the old pick medicinal herbs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I looked out for her too. We just haven't seen much from her, but if she does, come up.
So
Kaiser as well, Gran. Yeah.
First, before I go on my rant, a character I think most people are probably sleeping on, the Grand Chamberlain.
Morrissey. Yep.
Grand Chamberlain's gonna have a hell of a major role in Succession War going forward, considering this man's probably the only person who knows where the actual treasures are. And secondly, also probably the only person that knows where the 14 coffin, like the room with the 14 coffins is. Between him and Nasubi probably have a secret deal that isn't spoken about to anybody else. Not to mention what other secrets lie on board the Black Whale. Any other valuable treasures that might be important, not just for Crollo, but just in general for the Succession War to happen. I think the Grand Chamberlain, Morrissey, would definitely play a bigger role in the upcoming chapters. There's more to his character that we don't know, and I think having such a pivotal role both for the Succession War and for direct Nen relevant lore is super important and super good.
Mm-hmm.
But my second and the one I want to talk about most, Zhang Lei. You knew this was coming.
I knew it.
You knew this was coming. You knew this was coming from a mile away.
Mm-hmm.
You knew. Everybody sleeps on my goat. Every single person sleeps on Zhang Lei. He is him.
Dude, you've been locked into that character. Dude,
Day one.
I've never seen it. Yeah, just like you were locked in, like you were locked in onto Crollo.
Day one.
What about him made you? What about Zhang Lei made you locked into him? Was it as soon as you saw the coins, or was it just like off design? Because his design was shown to us in 349.
Initially, it was design.
Yeah,
I could feel it. He had like the whole like Buddhist marks on his forehead. Like the way he carried himself was different. The way he moves was different, and yet people made it seem like he was like some sort of a threat. He's had very, very interesting moves and dialogues to different characters in a way that like you can't really see what he's thinking or what he's doing. He's very, very deadly. Not to mention his Nen Beast being the wheel is very, very interesting because I remember having a conversation with her and letting him know
this
that
is years
I
ago.
thought
Years ago.
His
2022.
wheel was based on a few different things. But one of the earliest theories I had that his wheel was based on was the wheel of Dharma in Hindu mythology, which is the Ashoka Chakra, which represents like righteousness and duty and stuff, right? But also the wheel is very symbolic to like both Buddhist and Hinduist concepts of the samsara cycle, which is the cycle of rebirth, life, death, and rebirth, which is a very important concept in this entire series, like in Succession War, because we were introduced to Nen after death in this particular, arc. Mm-hmm. So life, death, rebirth, Nen, death, Nen after death, rebirth, cosmic order. There's a lot that exists, and the whole idea of like coins of how they're not useful currently, but they will be useful after he becomes king, makes actually quite a bit of sense. Mm-hmm. Because in Buddhism, the Dharma chakra, also the Ashoka chakra in Hinduism, the Buddha chakra represents Buddha's teachings and turnings of the cosmic path to enlightenment. It signifies the noble eightfold path, with the spokes representing the mental discipline required to overcome suffering. Mm-hmm. I think with the coins, the reason they increase in value is, I had a theory with Hart that like if someone, let's say, had a coin and they kept it with them for a year, by the time a year goes by, the coin, like you'd have enough accumulated Nen in that single coin to directly awaken your latent Nen abilities. Mm-hmm. Kind of similar to like how Morena awakens others' latent Nen abilities. Yeah. But the route it takes is different, which also means that since it can't be actively used in combat, Zhang Lei has to beat his competition through sheer wit and intellect alone. No Nen, no nothing.
He's such
which
a
makes for a very compelling character.
Yeah. This is when I was reading Succession War and I first saw Zhang Lei, I was like, this guy is the little finger of Hunter x Hunter. And I always like characters like that. That's why Poof's been my number one for years. Because Poof is a character who isn't physically that powerful. He's a character who has to use his intelligence to outwit and outsmart everybody and scheme everyone. He on this proverbial chessboard. Zhang Li is like that, where he's a character you don't understand his morality. You have like the very interesting thing with Shimano, where he can be very just, but also very cruel, and he's not prideful like Benjamin, where he absolutely looks down on the commoners, but he at least has enough respect that he'd willingly get on the phone with you and speak to you, but he won't take any disrespect if he's like hung up on. And then you see the way he maneuvers. I remember back in 2022 when we had chapter 400 and you finally see Zhang Li again, and then he gives a coin to Melody, and it was like, yo, what is this man doing? He's a great character. He's very hype, very interesting, and unpredictable. And that's what makes him so dangerous, because he is the fox and the lion.
Yeah, I could totally see him surviving this succession war.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
if he becomes king, I'm not gonna complain.
Yeah, he's one of Gren's favorite characters. He locked into him very early on, and in fact, he's been his biggest defender since he first saw him. And a lot of these people, switched up on Zhang Li, started glazing him after chapters 402, 403, and 404. When they got to see more of him with the coin. Meanwhile, credit to Gren, he liked him off rip. He saw potential in that man. Yeah.
I knew.
Yeah, you knew.
Yeah, you got to give credit to the royal adults in the family. It's like a lot of the ones who are like older than, I don't know how old Tyson is, but like assuming like they're older than Tyson, it's like a lot of them are like really smart.
Sorry, how many? Just out of curiosity, how many spokes are there on Zhang Li's Nen Beast?
At the counter, wouldn't you? Are they consistently drawn with the same number of spikes?
I think so.
Like,
I mean, I can't remember.
Oh, dude. Okay, so there's 8. Very similar to the Buddhist Eightfold Path.
The Eightfold Path, yes, sir.
Yeah, it's very similar to the Eightfold Path, and also very similar to the Samsara cycle.
Man, we gotta find out. We gotta find out where he moonwalked off to next batch. Like, we need answers from this man.
Yeah. In the Vedas, which is one of the Hindus like mythologies, like books, the god Surya is associated with a solar disk, which is said to be a chariot of one wheel. And Mitra, a form of Surya, is described as an eye in the center of the wheel, known as the eye of the world. And if you look at Zhang Li's Nen Beast, it literally looks like a sun with an eye in the center. There's so many like references both to like truth, the sun, the Eightfold Path, knowledge, reincarnation in just his Nen Beast alone, that it would be extremely wasteful of Togashi to not delve into that.
Yeah, and it's,
I know how Togashi is.
And it's a thing to where, that's why I love Nen, man, because it's about these Nen Beasts and what they mean. Because like Grin described, there's all these factors to just Zhang Li's Nen Beast and what all this means to his character and what makes him who he is and the why. Yeah, and it's like, Nen is such a phenomenal power system because you can character write with just the Nen power system alone.
Yep.
And how it forms the world building itself.
So, key piece of lore I'm going to drop. Apparently, the Buddha is said to have set the wheel of Dharma in motion when he delivered his first sermon. This turning of the wheel signifies a great and revolutionary change with universal consequences brought about by an exceptional human being. Buddhism adopted the wheel as a symbol from the Indian mythical idea of the ideal king called Chakravartin, or wheel turner, or universal monarch, who is said to possess several mythical objects, including the wheel.
I think badass as hell.
yeah. I think the wheel fundamentally will like, it's not only gonna give people different coins and unlock their nen abilities. I think depending on which segment when the wheel changes, maybe it might have multiple nen abilities, or could affect the Kakin's universal system or reality or will change as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the reason why
his personality. Yeah.
Which is the other reason why he said, "Oh yeah, your nen beast is not useful in combat, but it will be useful when you become king, because he might be able to afflict change in the entire Kakin society by having
it's one thing to make yourself individually powerful, but to
turn your kingdom powerful.
Powerful. That's a different thing.
Yeah,
I can see. I see the vision.
Yeah. The other thing is the concept of dharma is it is a concept where it's not duty in the sense of a job. It's more of the, how do I say, the cosmic job, the cosmic purpose for your character that you need to fulfill. That's what dharma is.
Right.
And so perhaps because Togashi is exploring so many different concepts with different characters in the series, maybe Zhang Lei needs to be in a position where he needs to fulfill whatever his cosmic dharma is in order to awaken his nen beast or his abilities or whatever it is, in order for him to gain more function in the story.
You guys are seeing firsthand this man's glaze of Zhang Lei, bro.
Bro.
No, the thing is if he fulfills the potential, it just works,
Yeah, it's I guess in a way, dharma is the easiest way you could say it. It's it's following your following universal law, from living your life to and doing your due diligence to society, and then doing enacting your moral responsibilities or duties towards another people or farmers or a nation or whatever. So doing what you know to be morally correct because it is your duty as an individual, not because you're indebted to do it, but because that is the right thing to do.
Yeah,
because that is your purpose to fit inside society or the world at large.
It reminds me of Taoism in a lot of ways. It's got a very similar aesthetics.
Think of it like a righteous way to live. Mm-hmm. So, if you live righteously, if you live righteously, the wheel embodies righteousness. Perhaps the wheel basically helps people who are already followers of you to also live righteously and do what they're supposed to do, which is where the whole pseudo coercive manipulation aspect comes in.
Right.
Rather than straight up manipulating.
Right. Mm-hmm.
They feel more inclined and more inspired to do what they're supposed to do for their righteousness.
It's trying to align people and state through magical means. Very interesting. This type of dynamics you can only really get in.
Yeah.
I know, like I said.
Yeah, it's to
I don't really know other stories.
Truth. Yeah, it's the ultimate goal of Hindu-Daji is to pursue the ultimate truth. So it makes sense.
Right.
Bro, Zhang Lei's just the coolest character because apart from among the top four, he's my favorite character in the top four between Camilla, Serenich, Benjamin.
I think people are probably sleeping on Kubeppa a lot because
Tubeppa's great. Tubeppa's great.
Because
I'm just concerned that Tubeppa might die. That's it.
That's the thing. They give off death-like energy, and their beast is not like super impressive looking, at least. But like in terms of like its actual abilities and like its symbolism, I bet it probably goes deep.
I'm concerned that Tubeppa will die for knowing too much, for stumbling upon something she shouldn't, and then as a result, getting killed off.
That's rough.
Like what
I could see the dark vision.
Yeah, like what Grin like went on his little his Zhang Lei spiel, but
yep,
that's just the level of Togashi's writing with just a singular character, and this is a character that's very niche and slept on in this whole arc.
Yes,
but that just shows Togashi's just on a different level compared to the previous arcs, where they were good, but they never had this much detail, this much nuance and symbolism given to them, and this is a singular prince out of 14. Granted, not every single prince was like written on this level, like Momose or Sale, but dang, man, like it's.
Hey, you gotta put respect on Sale's name. I'm always gonna be down. Dark Gunner King, Sale. May he rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace. Now I'm a clown on that, man. My go clowned on him. Clown on his little rap. I'm a clown on him too. Listen.
Nah. He went to the Diddy parties. We already know. He can rest in peace with the rest of them. But it's not like he was gonna stop it with the rap.
Yeah. Now
he was gonna continue.
Yeah. Now, last few things before we end this off. What is your arc ranking? And what is your top 10 favorite Hunter characters? Strada, we'll start with you.
Well, in terms of arc ranking, I only just really, I would just say that I find every single arc slightly better than the last, so I wouldn't really find it interesting to rank them just because it would just be like an ordering of the arcs backwards, presumably. Every now and then, depending on my mood, like Grin said, you get like these different varieties from each arc, and that they feel very different. So you're able to like enjoy them depending on your mood. So like in practice, I enjoy all of them equally as immensely. But in terms of like the actual reading experience, like starting them from the beginning and then going to where we are right now, this is a session where I would say that is like the optimal experience because it just keeps improving. Like it starts on fire and it only gets better and better.
Yeah.
As for the second question, top 10 characters, that one's a bit harder to decide because it does flip and change.
I'll give you my top 5, but I'm not giving 10.
All right, we'll lower it to top 5 instead. That should be simple.
All right,
that should be easy.
All right, that's fair. No particular order. Meram, Corollo, Killua, Kurapika, honestly, I'm gonna be controversial and I'm gonna say Komugi. I really like her. She's very cute.
No, she's great. Komugi.
Yeah.
And like she really just stood on business the whole time. Like she had no idea this was like an alien. Like she thought it was just like a regular old dictator. She said, "Nah, go ahead and heal yourself up." And like I appreciate people who stand on business.
What about you, Gren?
Favorite arc currently at top 1 is Succession War. Second is York New. Then I will put Chimera Ant. Then I will put
Election Arc?
Election, Greed Island, and then Hunter Exam. Or my bad.
You forgot
Hunter and then what is it called?
Heaven's Arena.
Yeah, Heaven's Arena at the lowest. Just it is what it is. Top 5: Rolo's number one. I'm sorry, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Am I allowed to say no? I can't.
No,
in good faith.
no, not
I
Dawn
can't.
Freaks, not Gyro, none of these
Yeah, I
characters.
can't.
I know
No,
you are.
I can't say
I know
Gyro
your core.
because like he hasn't
can't-
done
I can't-
anything.
I can't.
Once
can't.
Gyro comes
Yeah.
in, you already know, man. You
Yeah.
already know we're gonna be Gyro.
Yeah, I can't.
But he's
in
not
good
there
faith,
yet.
I
He's
can't.
not there yet. He's
Yeah,
going
in good faith, I can't.
Mhm.
Nah,
Right.
in good faith. Okay. Who else do I want to put? Netero, beyond Netero.
Mm-hmm.
Ging. Zhang Lei. And tough. Who do I want to put? Because Merrim's goaded. Old Man Netero's also goaded. Moreno's also goaded.
I was thinking about
it's hard.
If we were doing like top 10, Morena would have been in there for sure.
It is tough, dude.
Like she only just got introduced and she's so bad.
Yeah.
My top 5 doesn't have Serenich, unfortunately. I know Heart will have it. Mine doesn't have Serenich. Okay, so I said Crollo, I said Beyond, I said Ging, I said
Zhang Lei.
who did I say? Zhang Lei.
I mean, there's Hisoka, there's Pariston, but I don't know if you like Pariston enough to put him in the top 5.
I don't.
Yeah.
I like him, but I don't. I also wouldn't put Hisoka in my top 5.
Kurapika.
I'm not. Nah, Heart. No. I like Kurapika. No,
Okay.
they're not. I'll put Mara in there.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I like Kurapika.
No,
I
you
like
did,
Luna.
bro,
I
you
like
did.
Kilo. I like Leoria. They're just not.
Literally your personal favorites, bro. You did.
But also, they're not in the top 5 of the. They just can't. They can't. They can't.
Like I'm not judging it based on the writing personally. I was just saying what my personal was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, no. Hold on. I have to put Old Man Netero instead of.
Okay.
Just because.
Yeah.
That line of poor when this man says you know nothing about the depths of
Yeah, the bottomless malice of the
malice.
human
the
heart.
bottomless
Human
malice
heart.
of human heart. Oh, dude, yeah, I can't.
That line is literally legendary.
I have to put him there.
Dude, before I make my list, Netero is a character who I brain rotted after 401 and after the possibility that my Gozetti, the chosen one, the beast of the east, is the bastard child and therefore his grandson. And I was like, man, like I've never seen a character as fascinating as Netero in the way that he's written, because he's a character that you see he shows up in the Hunter exam arc. You only see him for a bit, and then he kind of dips until the final stretch of that arc with the tournament, and then you don't see him again until literally a page in Greed Island, and then you don't see him again until the end of volume 19 of Chimera Ant, and then you see him from across like volume 20 and then a bit in volume 21, and then he basically dips until volume 25, and then like that's when you really get the most of his character with his backstory, his philosophy, his everything about that forms his character, and then his fight with Merian, and then the man dies, and then you get like the stuff with Pariston and the Zodiacs and how, and then the stuff with Beyond, and this adds even more nuance, and then the fact that he's a character that has had such minimal screen time, yet he's grown so important. He leaves such an impact, and we're still feeling the effects of his death to this day because this whole thing is happening. Election arc only happened because this man died. Succession was only happening because this man died. Darkon and the expedition to the DC is only happening because that man died.
Because this man.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it makes you wonder just what exactly is this dynamic just who Netero is, considering his dynamic with Beyond, because of what we learned about how Beyond is very evil and ambitious, as we learned in 401, and then like the parallels, the symbolism with that character and his dynamics, and like the amount of similarities he has to Seti. It's just so fascinating seeing a character like written in the manner of Netero, considering the sheer little screen time he gets, and just how important and how much greatness he has. I brain rotted over that man. So I can understand putting him in the top 5.
It was hard not to put Morena there.
Yeah,
because Morena is so
I can see Morena being.
She's great.
I can see Morena
top 10.
Eventually rising up to top 5 with more content.
Honestly, if this arc doesn't end with like 3 of my top 5 being like removed, I'm gonna be surprised.
Mm-hmm. Now my top 5: Seti, Poof, Hulkenberg, Crollo.
Man is committed to the Succession War already, and that's fair.
Yeah. It's Crollo. That just leaves one character. I'll say Medium for now. Honestly, and he barely even hangs on to the 5. Because in my top 10, it's also Kurapika, Killua, Jing, and Gon.
Valid.
And Pariston as well.
Yeah.
And it's like in Process of Elimination, I'd say like of all those characters, I like Medium just slightly more. But that's only because of the fact that he's got a more completed arc.
He's just so well written.
He's very well written.
Like that's the thing about it.
Yeah, he's great.
Like we see literally his whole life from birth to death. Like it's hard to compete with that in terms of character writing.
Yeah. In comparison, as much as I like Paris and Jing, they don't have as much content as him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Beyond, dude.
Yeah, like man, Beyond has so much potential to be in that top 10. Benjamin as well.
Yeah, for real.
Morena. Hisoka's not even in my top 10, but he can get he has potential to rise up to that level.
Was it 4 to 11 when we learned about the Beyond's Nen curse on the children? They opened 401. Dude, that was a crazy chapter. You see, Longi open her mouth and the fucking. Oh God. That's disgusting.
Yeah.
That's
and of course, my arc ranking. Succession War. Been saying Succession War since the 381-390 stretch back in 2018. I knew this was the GOAT. Then Chimera Ant. Then Yorkno. And then then it would have to be Election. Greed Island. Well, it's a toss-up between Greed Island and Election, but Election just has more characters I like that it works with. But I really appreciate Greed Island. Very slept-on arc.
Mm-hmm.
Then Hunter Examine Heaven's Arena.
Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, like, I like Heaven's Arena, but I think objectively it is the weakest out of all the arcs.
Yeah. And Heaven's Arena is great, just because, like, in my video, I talk about how it establishes the idea of the detours.
Gentry's a great villain.
Yeah.
It's just a shame this man's placed in life.
He's sandwiched
like,
between.
The thing about Gentry is, like, if he was in literally any other series, people would be gassing him up as one of the greatest villains of all time. Yeah. I bet my life on that. Bet my entire life on that. He'll be gassing him up as one of the greatest. It's only because he's in Hunter or something. Like, people sleep on him.
Yeah, they think he's
mid. But Gentry's an incredibly well-written character.
You put Gentry, and the thing is, this man had to. It's such a shame. This man is placed right between Crollo and the Phantom Troop and Medium. And I'm like, bro,
he had no chance, bro.
Like, come on, bro.
And the thing is, like, Togashi did that on purpose, too.
I was like, it was like such a violation to that man. I'm like, bro.
I mean, to be fair, Gentry does deserve it. So. It's like I can't even be like he doesn't deserve it. So.
Dude, Ganther gives us one of the best fights in the series as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Ganther versus Gon is top 3.
Ganther fight is one of the best fights ever.
That's
it's one of the best. Fight. Yeah, it is Gon's best fight.
Like the choreography, especially in the manga. Choreography.
Because it was an actual fight. It was an actual fight.
Yeah.
You haven't seen fights like that in Jump manga in years outside of Hunter x Hunter and World Trigger, of course.
Yeah.
But we don't.
Gon versus, Ganther was kind of like.
But yeah, the thing that weakens Heaven's Arena is that it doesn't have melody able to insert in it anywhere.
I think the thing that weakens Heaven's Arena is just the fact that it introduces
it's definitely the lack of melody. I'm telling you, that's what it is. I'm joking.
It introduces Nen, and there is a lot of fights. But there's in stakes. Like there's no investment in the arc beyond just we just need to get stronger and beat Hisoka so we can have like the whole reunion at Yorknew.
Still a goated arc though, because
great arc.
I would disagree only insofar as that the secret hunter exam aspect of it does add a bit of stakes to it, where it's just like you wonder how far does the hunter exam go, and add some like intrigue into like how far the hunter society understands about the dangers of society and like how much they control it in the background. So there's some stakes in that regard and some like mystery, but it's definitely more of a like an edging. It's only because it's Hunter x Hunter in contrast to like everything else. It's not like it's very like a mild intrigue, whereas like Hunter x Hunter is using much more complex and intrigues. You know what I'm saying? But it's definitely something that characterizes the world that gets
I mean like
because like we dive into the
I enjoyed it and it was fun, but I wasn't emotionally invested in it compared to the other story arcs.
Yeah, that's fair. I understand that, but it does have the level E cameo, so I literally cannot read it.
Grin, were you also as emotionally invested in Hunter exam?
Yeah, because if I remember correctly, like reading Hunter exam, like I remember where I stopped in the 2011 anime, and I had like forgotten a lot of the stuff. So part of it was kind of like reliving through the manga what I ended up missing out in the anime because I didn't remember it, and
the kite stuff as well.
The manga did it a lot more justice, especially the end, like the wrap up about like how things ended up being was great. But yeah, compared to the other arcs, I feel like for me, Heaven's Arena is probably the weakest.
Yeah, and like Heaven's Arena had Hisoka characterization, the Gon Killua dynamic, starting to
Wing and what's his
Zushi. It also said, of course, it introduces the power system. Then it introduces the plot thread of Hisoka being a traitor in the Phantom Ship, and then him hunting them. It sets up Yorknew arc more. Yeah. But I get it. I get it. Like, honestly, it's more so about setting up the themes of Nirvana and Temptations, which is then pretty much the backbone of it. Which is
what I would have liked more actually, if to put it higher up for me, if it spent more time with Gon and Killua on each floor, them just hanging out and exploring Heaven's Arena, and getting more characterization out of them before they went floor to floor to floor to floor. That would be more fun. That would be more fun and investment for me, because I'd be like, beyond just like obviously fighting, there's like just general characterization and RP elements that I might enjoy more. But that's my own personal I guess input on that.
Yeah, fair. But I'm gonna have to go soon, you guys.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
No, I think that's
it's been fun. How
pretty
long
much
has it
it.
been? I think it's been a couple of hours. Yeah.
2 hours 9 minutes.
Lit.
Damn.
Yeah. We had a good discussion, folks.
Yep.
I'd say it would be interesting when the chapters do come out.
No,
If-
bro.
if when-
you guys are gonna find me so annoying when the chapters come out.
No. Here's the thing.
In advance. Cause like
It would be
I'm
fun.
going to you guys are gonna notice like you never hear from me outside of when the chapters come out, and then when the chapters come out, I'm
Yeah.
like, blowing up your
Yeah.
phone. Like, hey, did you hear this? Did you see this?
When
Did you
when
see
the
this?
chapters come out, we'll
We'll react to it.
no,
Read it.
we'll react to it.
Honestly.
Me and Gunnar will react to it on our own, and then we'll do a discussion roundtable where all
Or
three
no,
of us
I
will
don't.
be there.
I don't mind reacting it live because honestly, that would be peak.
I don't know. We will
But
make that
we
video
just can't.
live.
We just can't show. We just can't show the panels. We can react to it.
Yeah. No. That's gonna be like a different video, and then another video would be the roundtable where we discuss the chapter afterwards, and it's all three of
Yeah.
us. And of course, I'm gonna put on the SETI jersey and bring the full-on agendas.
Mhm.
Yeah, that would be
The
interesting.
agenda must be maintained.
But yeah, it was good talking with you guys. Great discussion. Talked a lot
Yep.
about Togashi, Hunter x Hunter. The best way to truly talk about the man's legacy is to simply just talk about Hunter x Hunter Succession War.
Honestly, it really is hard to argue with that.
It's the build-up of his arc, his story, his life. Since Three Kings, since YuYu Hakusho. He spent the
I
most amount of
genuinely
years
think
on
you
it.
said it best when you pointed out, and this is partially me being a hater on George R. R. Martin, but like also it really does like exemplify the fact that it's like you can't ask Martin or like any other person who's like regarded as writing complex scenes and stuff to write the Succession War.
Yeah.
Like only Togashi could do it.
At
Like
this
I
point,
don't know anybody else living anyway.
Yeah. Succession War at
like
this
some
point,
of the old greats, like
yeah.
sure.
It's his
But, like,
magnum opus.
I don't know anybody living who can handle all
Yeah.
this.
This arc is his ultimate passion. It's Togashi is essentially playing with a sandbox of all of his toy figures. This is essentially the arc that he gets to play with everything.
Mm-hmm. His magnum opus firing off on all cylinders from jump.
All right. Any last words, guys?
Yeah.
Gyro Gang.
Yeah.
Gyro Gang. And also, praise be to Togashi's name. Happy birthday.
Bro, I need another announcement for those next two volumes. Well, you'll get more Hunter when you get an announcement on those volumes. Start reading. Apart from that, see you guys next time.